Dear students, in our previous tutorials, we were discussing Module 5, second chapter, using web services. In that, so far we have discussed what is an XML and how to parse an XML, JSON and parsing of the JSON. In today's class, we will discuss application programming interface. We know how to exchange the data between the applications using an HTTP. We can represent the data either using an XML or with a JSON. So the next step is to begin or to define the document contracts between the applications using these techniques. The general name for these application to application contracts is application programming interface. In short term, we call it as APIs. When we use an API, generally one program makes a set of services available for use by other applications, and these publishes the APIs. That is the set of rules in order to follow when we are exchanging the data between the applications. That must be followed across the services, whatever the services are within that program or will be provided by the program. When we begin to build our applications or our programs, where the functionality of our program includes access to service provided by other programs. So for example, we are building some tourism application. So where in turn they need to book some resorts or nearby places. So we are going to make use of other applications also in order to provide the service. So we call the approach a service oriented architecture, or in short terms an SOA. An SOA approach is one where our overall applications makes use of the service of other applications. A non-SOA approach is where the application is a single standalone application which contains all the code necessary to implement the applications. So we are discussing what is this SOA approach is. Suppose we have building an application, so we are making in turn the other services provided in order to make that applications. So here is an example. Suppose if you want to pay the bill of something, we are going to use the credit card. So in turn, it's making use of another services in order to authenticate the credit card. What is that charges and all those terms. So the next example is an hotel reservation system. So we have already reserved an hotel using the system. But once there, we need to travel to the nearby places. In turn, we are making use of an travel services like an Ola, Uber, or the nearby places. Again, it's in turn making use of another applications. So like that, we are having multiple applications connected together based on the request of the user. So when we are having so many applications in turn connects, they need to follow certain rules. So these rules are being published with this API in order to connect between the applications. The second topic is Google Geocoding Web Services. It accepts the address and provides the geographical coordinates of the location with the latitude and longitude of the locations in order to mark the place where it comes in the geographical area. So here is an example. It accepts the address and provides the geographical coordinates of the address which we have provided. So this program takes the search string and constructs the URL with the search string as a properly encoded parameters, and then use this URL lib to retrieve the data from the Google Geocoding API. Unlike a fixed web page, the data we get depends on the parameters we send and the geographical data stored in the Google services. Once we retrieve the data, the JSON, once we retrieve this JSON, because the data is in the form of a JSON, we parse it with the JSON library and do a few checks to make sure that we receive a good data, then extract the information from that. So if we are not able to extract the data, we just click on that we fail to retrieve the data. this is the output what we are going to get. So here it just so the input, actually the providing the input and those things has been missed in this data output. So we execute the program and then give the search string, what the search string is. So in this example, it will be searching with Ann Arbor MMI. That is what the location it's been searching with. And it retrieves the URL. After it retrieving the URL, what is that it's going to be printed? It's in the JSON parsing. It prints the latitude and longitude of the location, and what is that name which we are searching, the locality, all those details will be printed. In this example, it's been used as JSON parsing. You can also explore on the XML variant. It's been provided the link in the textbook. You can refer more in the textbook in order to learn with an XML parsing. Last topic of this chapter is the API security, and it's also like rate limiting. Why? Because like when we are developing an APIs, it is make free for the vendors. So we need to monitor how many usage per day and what are all the applications has been implemented using this API. So it's not been made free, only a limited things. So it will be monitoring that how many usage per day in order to make it. So based on that, they'll be charging for the usage. They might change the rules as things progress, because if there is more demand for the things, so there may be a changes in the charges or the limitations per day. All those things can be done. It's the usage limits of the geocoding or the Google geocoding APIs based on the daily limits for the business and the things. The rules, it's not depends or it's not fixed. It will keep changing based on the usage, and new rules they can able to make it in order to limit the usage or the charges. Yeah, next, again, this is a sample extracted from the web page. So it has to be followed with the authentication and authorization in order to check some applications with respect to the APIs. That not that everybody can make use, whether they are eligible or not. So we are talking about the tweets here because we have a next example which deals with the tweets. If you're having a Twitter account, only those people can able to execute the sample code which has been given. So there are different protocols for the service oriented. So the REST and also the SOAP. So they can make use of any of these protocols for the service oriented. Here it's talking about the REST API. This is the different version of the REST API. So this is a code where if you have a Twitter account, only those two can able to execute this code. Authorize your Python code as an application, set up a key secret and token secret. And very important thing is, if you want to execute this, you also need to download few more. The link has been provided, the www.py4e.com/code. In that you need to download the twirl.py, hidden.py, woauth.py and the Twitter program file, and then you can able to execute this program. Accept the Twitter account details from the user, and then it's retrieving with this URL request. So extract all those the header details of the data which we are searching with, and then we are going to use this JSON parsing. So with this we can able to get the results. These are the Twitter account details, and this is the URL it has been retrieved, and this is the status which has been retrieved from the Twitter. And in the last few output, you can just observe the few five Twitter friends and the last tweeted messages of those has been displayed over here. So when we are securing this API, a very common technology that is used to sign request over the internet called this OAuth, Open Source Authentication Protocol. You can read more about this with www.oauth.net. So the Twitter went and open and public. The API to an API that requires the use of OAuth signature on each API request. So thankfully, there are still many convenient and the free libraries for this OAuth. So we can avoid writing from the scratch. We can just make use of the available libraries in order to build the various applications. So these things are available in the OAuth website. What are all the various libraries available for this? We can make use of the things. So with this topic, I'm concluding the chapter using web services. So far we have discussed XML parser, JSON parser, how to transfer the data between the applications, what the protocol requires, what is an OAuth, and or we can execute the program. So you need to have many inbuilt things which are available. You can just refer the textbook for more details. So we also discussed with what is a service oriented architecture, and what is the geocoding. So how we can able to use it. So is it free or is data limits or limits in order to access the things. So all these details we discussed. With this, we complete the chapter using web services. Thank you for learning.